Hey everyone, welcome back to Heart Breathings. We're going to talk about some things that you can do to literally change your life. There are so many people I know right now that know deep in their heart that you are meant for more, that there is so much more for you out there in your life. And yet there seems to be this giant mountain standing in your way, this big insurmountable to-do list or obstacles or challenges that just make it feel like it's impossible. And believe me, I have been there. And, productivity is not a one-time thing. It's a personal growth journey where we move 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, 1 step forward, 2 steps back, and we're just always trying to move in the right direction. And I think I have some insights that I've never had before on reasons why it's so difficult sometimes to take the steps that we know we need to take in order to change our lives, and maybe a new way of looking at things in order to really make a difference for yourself, your goals, and what you were put on this earth to do. So let's dive in. So the first thing to do to change your life is to stop expecting yourself to quantum leap overnight. This has been my story for so long that I would make these elaborate plans like perfect morning routine. I'm going to detail everything I'm going to get done in the day. And like if my best day ever of writing was like an average of 2,000 words, then I'm going to expect that suddenly with this new improved version of myself, I'm going to start writing 3,000 words a day and I'm going to be super consistent, even though I never have been in my life. Or I'm going to get up every morning at 5 a.m. and I'm going to jump on the treadmill and do 10 other things and just be perfect. And when I wake up the next day, I am painfully aware of the gap between who I currently am and this perfect, ideal person that I think I need to be. And really, that gap is a quantum leap. Like I'm somehow expecting this future version of Sarah that's so much better than I am to just appear out of nowhere. Like I could just conjure her out of sheer willpower and she's going to show up. And to be honest, sometimes that desire to make big sweeping changes has made a difference in my life because I have sort of strong-armed my way into change. So it has served me at some level in the past. But I think that for so many of us, it's this somehow delusion that we can just change ourselves and show up as a different person practically overnight, or that we should, or that we put that kind of pressure on ourselves that we should be able to change. And the truth is, if we want to make lasting change, we have to be able to love and accept ourselves exactly as we are and to meet ourselves as we are. That doesn't mean that you say, oh, I'm perfect and I love myself exactly as I am and I'm not going to try to improve on where I am. But it does say, I see you. I know what you've been through. I'm the only one who knows your struggles, and I'm going to meet you where you are, and I'm going to take your hand and we're going to do this together. And I think that that can be such a powerful thing to create a realistic plan for yourself where you stop expecting yourself to quantum leap and show up as someone totally different who's going to follow all these amazing plans that you've set out. And instead, meet yourself right where you are and start making small changes to become the person that you want to be, but to understand that you are great as you are and that you don't need to quantum leap into some future perfect person. You can just show up as you are and start working from there. Number 2, one of the biggest things that has made a shift in my life that I'm currently still working to shift is to listen to my own intuition instead of others' criticism. I have always been particularly sensitive to criticism, which is not the best way to be when you are putting yourself out there on YouTube. I'll tell you that, because it's a daily challenge. Criticism comes at me in DMs and emails and comments all the time. And what I'm slowly coming around to is this understanding that all those people who criticize my choices, my looks, my career, my way of speaking, or any of it, they don't know my story. they're coming from their viewpoint, which is neither right nor wrong. It's just different from mine. They don't know my full story. They don't see my full life. As long as I know that I'm following my heart and my intuition and the path that's set before me, and I know that I'm being true to myself, then why am I going to let anyone else's criticism about my choices bother me, right? I am always on a growth journey, and I'm always going to listen so that I can continue to be the best version of myself that I'm currently capable of being. But I also know deep down that I'm a genuinely good person who is always seeking the right path for me, alignment for me. And so if I can get quiet and really listen to that inner voice within myself that says, these are the next steps. Here's where you need to grow. Here's where you need to be going next. Then I know I'm always on the right path, regardless of what criticisms come from other people. And I think that the more we can all learn to trust our own intuition instead of trusting criticism from our family members or from random people on the internet, we're all going to be so much better off. Number 3, do this to change your life. Dream big, plan small. So what I mean by this is dream the grandest, highest version you can think of. Dream the biggest life you can imagine for yourself, and don't hold back any limitations. Like if you want to have a movie deal or you want to walk the red carpet, these are dreams of mine that other people might be like, that'll never happen. Or even some part of my own brain says that's never going to be you. I'm allowed to dream that big dream. And because I desire it, I can start making moves to head toward that life, right? But when it comes to the day-to-day plan of action that I'm going to take, instead of that quantum leaping where I'm expecting myself to have like enough books out to get a movie deal and do all these things like by next week, plan small, plan realistic, plan instead of to do 20 new things this week or this quarter, how about just one productive new routine? So for example, I knew this quarter that I wanted to establish a better morning routine. Mornings growing up for me were pretty traumatic. And so I always have had a struggle with mornings, and I'm ready to heal myself from that and to get better, because I've noticed that when I have really good mornings, I tend to have a really great day after it. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to work on my mornings, and I'm going to start with this idea of waking up with your alarm. It's what a lot of people say. Get up with your alarm. Don't hit the snooze. Make your bed. Okay. If you've read James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, there's a lot in that book that I agree with, and a lot of things that I think, not exactly resonating with me. And he talks about taking that small, like tiniest first step toward whatever it is you're trying to achieve. And I do think that that is valuable, and those small steps can compound. But I also feel like for me, I struggle with this idea of feeling like I'm always behind. It isn't true, but I know many of you struggle with this too, that you feel like I'm too far behind. I'm already too late. I'm never going to hit my dreams, And so when I take too small of a step, like just waking up with my alarm, I find it hard to get motivated because it's not enough of a big step. But there's a balance there, because if I take too much of a morning routine where I expect like 50 new steps, I can't follow through and stay consistent because it's too much. So when I say dream big, I mean, have the vision of what your perfect morning routine is and hold that vision, but then start with a small, achievable plan. And for me, that's a balance between what I feel is capable for me right now that is actually going to see results. So for me right now, that morning routine looks like get up with my alarm, no excuses, do not hit snooze. Get up and make the bed, get the kids ready for school, do a little bit of journaling or gratitude in the morning, and then get myself ready in terms of like makeup or hair or getting dressed, whatever it is I need to do, and then be sitting at my desk by 9 a.m. every day. Eventually, in that grand vision, I want to be at my desk working by 8 a.m. or getting up every morning at 5 and actually working out on the treadmill and all that stuff. But when I try to stack too many things on my plate, it becomes unrealistic and I give up. So I have to start a little bit smaller with my plan, start realistic and not put so much on my plate that it makes it impossible or overwhelming, but put just enough to where I feel like I'm actually making progress along the way. Which goes a little bit hand in hand with number 4, which is pay attention to your resistance. I feel like there is this strange and powerful feeling in our lives that is resistance, where you know that you want to do it. You know it's good for you or it's the path that you should be taking, but there's some part of you, be it fear or trauma or whatever it is, that resists taking the steps. So if you've ever been somebody, again, who knows that your life would be better if you had a good morning routine, and yet you consistently resist getting up with the alarm, you've got some kind of resistance there. When I set up my morning routine for this quarter of all those steps I was just telling you, originally it also involved spending 20 minutes on the treadmill every morning before I got in the shower. And what I started to notice was I had an okay time getting up, getting the bed made, getting the kids ready for school and stuff, but I was consistently resisting getting on the treadmill. And so instead of allowing that to ruin my entire morning routine, I listened to that resistance and I've been trying to work with it and heal it. So I took it out of my morning routine so that I don't let it destroy that good feeling and that good positive momentum. And instead, I kind of talk to this resistance throughout the day. 11, 10 o'clock in the morning, I say, what about now? Could we get on the treadmill now? No, still not feeling it. Okay, well, why is that exactly? Kind of like you're talking to some other piece of yourself. Why am I resisting this so much? What is it about the treadmill that makes me feel so resistant? Or maybe it's a writing routine that you've got all the plans, you've got the sticky notes, and you've got the index cards and all those things that you want to plan your novel. But when it comes to actually writing it, maybe you get through the first 2 or 3 chapters with excitement. And then every time you hit a wall where it's like there's massive resistance and you can't motivate yourself to keep going. Instead of beating yourself up over those moments of resistance, pay attention to your resistance and start exploring it. Start listening to it. What is it saying? Why do you feel this resistance? And that is going to be the core of your growth journey. And if you've been somebody who is wanting to change your life and just cannot find the steps, the key to it all is that resistance. What I've learned for myself is a little deeper and more personal than this, but on the surface of it is this feeling of safety and security. I am the survivor of a pretty violent attack in my 20s, and there's some part of me that is so disconnected from my body and has lived so much in my mind that physical activity of getting on the treadmill and getting into my body somehow feels unsafe for me. And so I know that because of that resistance, I've uncovered this next level and layer of my own healing. And now I can begin to get to work on how to heal that, how to feel safe, how to get grounded. So in order to counteract that, in the mornings, I've now included and added in just a brief, I am safe meditation and affirmation, and it's helping. And I'm going to continue on that journey until I feel ready to be fully in my body again so that I can take ownership and be empowered in that way. So listen to where you have resistance in your routines, because it might be pointing you to a deeper personal growth or place that you need to heal so that you can become more productive. And once you've healed that and you've moved past that mountain of resistance, think of how much your life can change once you stop feeling that. I'm pretty excited to see where it takes me. And finally, number 5, do this if you want to change your life, is to be your own biggest cheerleader. So often in my life, somehow along the way, I learned to take on the voice of people who in my life were critics of me. And I became my own worst critic. Negative self-talk is something I've worked on in therapy for years, and it still is difficult for me some days, but I am slowly learning to become my own biggest cheerleader. And I think sometimes, we're taught to be good citizens and not be too selfish or like up on your high horse or like too confident or too like sure of yourself because it's considered unseemly or whatever to be like 100% believe in yourself, cheer for yourself, brag on yourself kind of person. And I think so many of us were taught for so long not to be that. And somehow in a lot of our lives, that has morphed into really beating ourselves down every time we fall short of these quantum leap expectations that we have. And I think it holds so many of us back on a true deep level. So instead, think about how you can make a shift instead of criticizing yourself and beating yourself up over a few shortcomings. What happens if you become your biggest cheerleader and really cheer yourself on for every single win? Because you have wins, you have things that you're doing, you have steps that you're taking. Even getting up and making the bed can be a huge win if you're coming out of a time of anxiety and depression. So don't compare yourself to someone else and say, oh, but look at them, they have their life together. No, look at where you were just a few years ago. Look at where you were just a few months ago and say, wow, just like you would say to your child, if you had a child and you saw them making progress, you would cheer them on. Good job. You're taking your first steps. You're doing a great job. Like we cheer our kids on so much. And then I started to realize, why don't I cheer myself on? Why don't I celebrate every tiny success? And this goes back to that intuition versus criticism is, instead of cheering myself on, I'm taking criticism and internalizing it from other people. And then I'm also doing it to myself. And I'm working to just be done with that because I think if I really want to change my life, what happens when I believe in myself so fiercely that I'm my own biggest cheerleader? That I know without a doubt, no matter how many times I fall, I'm going to stand back up and I'm going to keep going for my dreams. No matter what anybody else believes to be true, no matter what anybody else says about me, I know what I'm capable of and I'm going to cheer myself on until I get it. And even if, other people are watching and they say, you're not writing enough, you're not doing this, you've failed on this so many times, or your sales numbers aren't good, or what other kind of criticism it can be, I want to be able to stand in my own truth and say, yeah, but look how far I've come. And nobody else may understand the fullness of that story, but I know it. You are the only one who knows what you've struggled with, what's going on in your mind, who you truly want to be. So cheer yourself on, because once you're your biggest cheerleader, your life is going to start to change. I know it to be true. So thank you for letting me share these thoughts with you. These are 5 things that I've really been trying in my own life and seeing massive amounts of difference in just a short time. And I'm going to be applying all these things as I begin to plan Q4. So it's only early September when you're watching this, September 1st when you're watching this video. And we have 1 month remaining of Q3, but I'm already starting to bring people into the HB90 Bootcamp program. So if you've been wanting to change your life, there has never been a better time. Come join us in the boot camp and you're going to learn how to set a realistic plan that can truly help you not make a quantum leap in just 90 days necessarily, but over the course of quarter after quarter, massive changes in your life. I've seen it not only for myself, but for thousands of my students. And I would love to see and support you in that as well. But in the comments, I would love to hear which one of these 5 tips resonated the most with you. If you feel like it is your time and you just know you have so much more to give, put that in the comments down below because I want to be your cheerleader as well. All right, you guys, I will have our September Notebook Challenge coming up this weekend, and I have a writing vlog for you next week. And then we're going to start getting into September and then Preptober and then NaNoWriMo Diaries. It's going to be an amazing fall season, and I'm looking forward to spending it with you. So make sure you hit the like button, comment down below, and subscribe to this channel. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye.